Hey, Jules, and welcome to Grown and Awakened Podcast. I'm so happy to be here. I hope if you tuned into this podcast that you are happy to be here too, to tune into my first episode. So, first off, since this is the first episode, let me go ahead and explain to you what grown and awakened mean, and then we're going to get into my story time on how I manifested two full-time jobs working remotely to make extra money. Okay. So basically grown and awakened means we're adults, right? I'll be 38 December 22nd. So I think I can say I'm an adult. I'm grown. So I'm grown, got my own place, pay my own bills, got my own car, we grown. But the awakened part means that we're grown, but yet we're woke. We're not asleep. And if you are awakened, then you know what being woke and not sleep means. So I don't have to go into detail right now about that. That'll be another episode. So I probably should have fixed me a drink while we talking so I can loosen up. But this is just raw and uncut. If you driving, if you working out, taking a walk or whatever, you can just listen to me. That's why most of my podcasts are not going to be visuals, and you'll probably hear noise in the background because my dog's going to bark and I'm going to be moving around, typing on the computer sometimes and stuff like that. So anyway, awaken means we're woke, we're spiritual, we're not really religious, but we do believe in God. We believe there is a higher power, but we don't live in a box. We are free spirited. We do what we want. We carry ourselves how we want to carry ourselves, but we still have a awakened spiritual type mannerism. So, we hear from God. We are some prayer warriors. But yet we will step out of alignment when we need to, just to put somebody in their place and let them know that we are not to be played with because we are chosen. That's what we are. We also are the jewels over here. And we continue to let our light shine bright because we all are jewels in God's eyesight. That's my tagline on my vlogs and stuff. So that'll also be the tagline over here on the Grown and Awakened podcast. Continue to let y'all's light shine bright because each and every one of us are really jewels in God's eyesight. So that's why I call y'all my jewels. Because we are jewels in the spirit. So, anyway, let's move forward. And I still ain't poured this glass of wine. Okay, so basically, the story time on how I manifested these jobs is, okay, let me see where do I start. Okay, so, y'all look over me. So basically I had this plan. So the way that I do is first of all, when I want to manifest, I'll sit here and I have the thought in my mind. I'm always trying to come up with a master plan. I had kids early, so I've been a single parent most of my kids' life. So with that being said, it's pretty much just been me and my kids basically living out here in Houston. I'm from a country town, but I've been in Houston for about 13 years now, and this is where my career is. So I also feel like I manifested being in Houston, and because I used to say it when I was a teenager before I graduated, that I wanted to move to Houston and go to college and work for the oil and gas companies and stuff like that. And all of that have came to pass because I'm working for oil and gas companies. I did come here and move to Houston and go to college for business. I did all of those things. So I did manifest that. I even manifested the catering business that I have. January 2016 is when it started. I had the vision. I wrote the plan and put it to action, and it happened. And now I'm getting ready to relaunch my catering business in 2024. But I had a food truck, I did a TV show, and my catering business has really, really grown and flourished from 2026. And I just had a food truck in 2020 or 2021. I had the food truck, but I sold it, got rid of that. And then I turned around and bought one because I had a trailer. And then I turned around and bought one that you can drive because I want to have a driving one to build out and so forth. So that's where I'm at with that. Either way, I gave y'all that little backstory so you can know that manifestation is real, and everything that I have wrote down, thought about, and actually spoken out loud that I wanted to do, I have done thus far. So now we're here, end of 2023, November, December, last quarter of the year. I'm sitting at home in my new place, in my new space, single, living alone, and I'm thinking of another master plan. So I'm getting ready to relaunch my catering business in 2024. I'm making plans for that, but that's not enough for me at this point. So I'm like, okay, Lord, what do I want to do? I know that in order for me to relaunch my catering business in 2024 and do whatever else I want to do, I need some extra money because this one full-time job that I have ain't going to cut it. Because this job is paying the bills. I have a little extra money to do some extra stuff, but it's still not taking care of all of my expenditures on what I need to do for my entrepreneurship and my business. And it's almost still like I'm living check to check because with me being the only adult here working, living alone in Houston, I need more money. Rent is high. I'm paying it by myself, light bill, car note, insurance, all of the things to survive. That's what my check is going to. So pretty much I came up with, sorry, I thought I lost y'all. Okay, pretty much I came up with, I need another job. But do I really want a full-time job? But do I really want a part-time job? Is a part-time job working 2 or 3 days a week really going to get me the money that I need to make the moves that need to be made? No, I didn't think so. So, of course, I said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm getting ready to get online. I got a slew of staffing agencies in my phone because when I first moved to Houston, I felt like that was the quickest way for me to find work is let the staffing agencies find the work, send me to the interview, and we go from there. And that's how I've always kept a job here in Houston. But there's this one particular staffing agency that I have worked for on and off for about 9 years that I've been here. Very great company, finance company. I've been hired. I've done contract jobs. I've did contract to hire jobs with them. Worked the contract, got hired on the job, and then most of them I left on my own. And the company, the staffing agency, still would let me come back whenever I wanted to come back and find me another job. Let me take a drink. I did not just drink the wine that long. That was some ginger ale. Excuse me. So, sit back down because I'm working too. So basically, I get online. I revamp my resume. Didn't have to do much to it. I added one job to my resume. And I uploaded it and emailed some of the recruiters from the staffing agency, the finance staffing agency that I had been working with all those years. And I was like, I'm just going to see what's going to happen. So I kept saying, I don't know how I'm going to work 2 full-time jobs, but I know this is what needs to be done in order for me to do what I need to do. I got a business I'm trying to pursue. I'm trying to relaunch my catering business. I just became a notary and got licensed to notarize, but I still need to take one more class for the notary in order to get into real estate and do legal document signing at the closing part of real estate and other type of business functions. So I got that business I'm finna get ready to start in 2024. I'm going to focus on my notary company, my catering company in 2024. And that's just still not enough for me. And I need more money to pursue what I need to pursue 2024 and ongoing. So here I am looking for a job. I'm applying at on the finance website for this staffing agency. And then all of a sudden I start getting calls. I start getting calls and emails and, hey, Clarissa, can we submit your resume for this remote job and all of this? So I went on about 2 or 3 interviews and had the interview and never got a call back. Actually, I went on 2 interviews. And this was like a week after I spoke out loud and had the thought in my head that I wanted to work another full-time job. So I hope you guys are following me because I know I might be all over the place. So once I did that, I started getting the calls. Did 2 virtual interviews because typically right now when you applying for a remote job, or even if you applying for in-person jobs, most of the time the way the world is, they're doing virtual interviews through Teams. So I went through the virtual interview, did all that, never got a call back by two interviews. So by then, I'm discouraged. And I'm like, okay, well, next time they call me and want some, because I'm like, okay, y'all tripping. Like, y'all finding me the people to interview with, but the people that's interviewing me ain't accepting me. I need the job. Like, I'm ready for the extra job. And so next call they did, the third one they did, okay, got the interview. By this time, I'm like, okay, hey, Clarissa, do you mind if we submit your resume? They're looking to hire within the week, blah, blah, blah. The recruiters is all bubbly and they try to get you all pumped up for the job and stuff. When in reality, you're not the only one interviewing for the position, right? It's 2 or 3 other people interviewing for the position. So you might get it, you may not. It just depends on if the interviewer feels like you're a good fit for that job, or you know how I go, or you sell yourself correctly. And so by this time, when I get the calls for the third interview, I'm telling the recruiter, I'm like, yeah, you can go ahead and submit it. And I'm telling my friends, like, yeah, they called me again, and I'm going ahead and letting them submit my resume. But I don't have much faith in it. Like, I done already interviewed twice and never got a call back. So it's whatever. They can just send it and I'll go from there and see what happens. So I get the interview and it's an African-American man and we on video and we get to talking. And how they break the ice in the interview. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. That's that ginger ale. Okay. When they break the ice in the interview, they'll be like, tell me a little bit about you. Tell me a little bit about yourself. So I'm like, and y'all, I'm country. I try to talk too fast and get tongue-tied real quick. So I'm just letting you know in advance. So when he told me to tell him about myself, I ran down like how long I've been living in Houston, the small country that I came from, my background, what school, what college I came here and went to, told him the whole 9 yards. So, and he was like, okay. He was like, well, that's good. You pretty much answered all my questions for me. So I'm like, okay, cool. And so, when I was telling him about myself, I told him that I was a single parent. That's what I started with. And when I interview with anybody, I normally start, when they want me to tell them about me, I normally lead with, well, I'm a single parent from Bryan College Station, about an hour and 30 minutes from here. And, I came here to go to college, me and my 2 children. And, and then I lead in with that. And so he looked at me and paused. And so we sitting there on Teams looking at each other. And he looked off and looked to the side. And then he was like, Miss Johnson, I don't normally do this. And I don't normally, speak out of turn like this. But he say, I'm a believer. And I just feel like that I need to be obedient right now. So by now I'm in my seat moving, I'm nervous. My anxiety done kicked in, my heart beating fast. And I'm like, oh, what he about to tell me? And so he proceeds to say that he's a believer. He believes in God. He got to be obedient. And he feel like that God is using him to tell me that I need to stop identifying myself as a single parent. He was like, yes, you may be a single parent, but that is not your identity. You being a single parent is not who you are. And he was like, I feel like that you was placed on this interview with me today for me to tell you who you are. And by now, y'all, my chest is shaking. I feel like my heart is about to come out of my chest at this point. So I'm just sitting there, like looking at him, just taking in everything he's saying, waiting to see what he finna say next. And this man says, "You're a boss." He say, "I'm looking at you right now, and I'm telling you right now what I see in you is you're a boss. You're anointed. The anointing that I see over you in your life right now, you never need to identify yourself as just a single parent, because you are not just a single parent. And that is not your identity. You're a boss. You're supposed to be providing jobs to others, and everything your heart desires and everything you want. I believe that God placed you in this interview with me for me to be the vessel to tell you that your life just changed today." Oh, I had to take a drink of wine off of that one. So, okay. So by now, me being the crybaby that I am, I'm crying. I'm not saying nothing, but I'm crying. So he proceeds to say, and basically he started prophesying to me. It was no longer an interview. He started prophesying to me and telling me everything that was already in my head. And that's how I knew that God was using him as a vessel to communicate with me. And just to have a real, true, genuine word from God, whether he come to you in a dream or, through a sign, but for him to actually come through a person sometimes, and not even just come through another human being, but come through another human being and it actually comes to pass. Because sometimes, I grew up Baptist. I'm spiritual now. I'm awakened now. You know what I'm saying? But when I was growing up, going to Baptist and my aunt's Pentecostal church and stuff like that, you would have people prophesy to you, and sometimes the stuff would come to pass and sometimes it wouldn't. And I understand that in order for a prophecy to come to pass, that you need to be taking the necessary actions and doing your part as well. I get that too. Because God can come tell us something, and then we get off of alignment and not follow the path we supposed to in order for the prophecy to come true. And then we knock it out we knock it off. And then we'll be looking at God saying, well, you said you told such and such to tell me that this was going to happen, and it didn't happen. But that's sometimes we choose to go the other way. Anyhow, after he started telling me what was in my head, y'all, because mind you, I just told you what my plan was. I told you I'm always thinking of a master plan. Sometimes I can't even sleep at night for trying to come up with a master plan. And I know I'm not the only one out there that be restless and having getting no sleep, sometimes laying there supposed to be sleep, but then getting up in the morning for work feeling like you ain't had a bit of sleep because your mind won't shut up. That was me. That be me. So he started telling me that he said, this is what you need to do, Clarissa. He asked me that I have a certification, because he requires his employees to have a certain certification. Then he asked me that I have a notary. And he said he requires his employees to have a notary. And I said, I just got my notary in the mail a couple weeks ago. So I am a notary now. But I did not have the certification that he wanted me to have. And I don't know if that played into whatever, but we'll get there. So then he was like, this is what you need to do. He was like, I'm finna give you the plan right now. He said, you need to work 2 jobs. And you need to work 2 full-time remote jobs. He say, I don't care if one of them is hybrid and you go a couple of days in the office and work the rest of the days home, or both of them are fully remote. You just need to make sure that both of them mostly have to be worked at home, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to maintain the 2 full-time jobs that you need to work and bring in the income that you need to bring in. He's not even knowing that I'm already working a full-time job. I hadn't even told him that. I didn't think it was whoever was interviewing me, I didn't think it was their business to tell them that I was already working. I wanted to get hired on the job first, build some type of rapport with my manager, and then try to let them know, hey, I'm working a part time. Like, because even then, I was still, even if I would have got hired, I was going to tell him that I was working a part-time job if he had not had prophesied to me. If I would have got hired by him, I would have told him I was working a full-time job because he had already prophesied that that was what my plan should be, which was already my plan. It just blows my mind still to this day. And so he said, work you 2 jobs. He said, if you work them 2 jobs, be quiet, sit in your house, work your remote jobs, keep your mouth closed, collect your 2 checks, and stack your money. You ain't, and mind you, he black, so he talking my language. You know what I'm saying? He's, at this point, this is a prophecy and it's not formal at all. So he's like, stack your 2 checks and you will be making 6 figures. You'll be at making 6 figures before you know it. And he looked at me and he said, Clarissa, I am honored to be sitting in front of you on this video right now, to be able to tell you today that your life just changed. And he said, I normally don't do this. And he said, I don't even care if my job go back on this call and find out what has happened today. But I had to be obedient. And he said that you are very anointed. You're a boss. And by then I did step in and tell him that, I have a catering business. I'm trying to pursue some other businesses. That's why I got my notary license and, all that. Because, he don't know me from a can of paint. He don't know I'm trying to be a boss. You know what I mean? I done had an employee help me cater and stuff before. He don't know that. So, I told him, I did also tell him that what he told me to do was already my plan. I still did not tell him that I already had a full-time job because I didn't get to that point yet. The process of the interview was that he was going to interview me first. Interview went great. It ended up not even being an interview. It was turned out to be a prophecy and him telling me what God said. So basically God used him. And I'm just reiterating this before I go to the next part. God used him to tell me that I was on the right track and that I needed to get me 2 jobs so that I can quickly make it to 6 figures if I save my money correctly. And that income that I'm making with the 2 jobs will help me get everything that I want for my businesses and be able to provide for my household the way that I want to and not live check to check. Okay, so then the second part of the interview was that later on at 4:00 that day, I was going to come back on Teams and have a second interview with the 2 women that I will be working in the same department with virtually. So I met with the 2 women. For whatever reason, I did not get a call back that day and I did not get the job. So I was very discouraged at that point. I'm talking about discouraged. I cried. I'm already working 1 job. So it wasn't like I was just, I was disappointed because, and and I'm not even going to lie, y'all. I did question God. I questioned God and I'm like, Lord, why would you use this man? Because I wasn't thinking in my right mind. I was speaking out of disappointment and anger at this point. Because I cried the whole day after I talked to that man. I just knew I had that job, y'all. I knew I had that job. I was like, man, I got my job. It was a Friday. So I knew I was finna go through the weekend happy. I was low-key trying to celebrate, went out to have a drink, and I cried after I got off the phone with him for the rest of the day. And I was just praising God and thanking God. And I just knew that was my job because that's where the prophecy came from. And I thought that it was my job because now when he hired me and I went in on my first day, I was going to be able to tell him and not keep a secret from him. I was going to be able to tell him that I am actually working a full-time job already. And your job is my second job. So the prophecy that you told me, it didn't came to pass because I am working already. And I was excited to be able to start working with him and he be my manager and he's the one who prophesied this. And then it came to pass at his job, at his place of employment. But it didn't work like that. So I could not figure out that day when I found out on Monday that they didn't pick me. I was baffled. And then I talked to my cousin about it because we talk about everything. And she had me look at it in another aspect. And that's when my mind started turning a negative into a positive. And I started looking at it more from, instead of looking at it in a physical eye and in a hurtful and an angry eye, I started looking at it from the spiritual eye. I started looking at it in the spiritual realm. And I started saying, okay, I took me about, I took about a week. I ain't even gonna lie. I took about a week and I just sat in it. And I just sat in it. And in every day of that week that I did not look for another job, I was like, okay. And I just kept boosting myself up and I started looking at it in a more positive way. And I was like, okay, Clarissa, just because you didn't get that job, you have to look at this in a more positive way. God used him. God used him to tell you that you are on track. You are on the right path. It's just that wasn't the job for you. It was just the man that he wanted to deliver it through. And just because you didn't get that one, don't mean that the prophecy is not going to come to pass and that the job is not coming. And it took my cousin to tell me that first. And when she told me that, I used the rest of that week to sit on that. And I kept telling myself, get back up, start start still submitting your resume. When they call you again and tell you that they got something else, don't turn them down. Let them submit your resume and all of that. So I got more excited and I was like, okay, now I understand. I understand that was just a prophecy and that was the person that God wanted to use to tell me that I'm on the right path and that the extra job that I need to make this master plan work for me is coming. But he just had to use that man to do it. Okay, so now the company called me again, y'all. The company calls me again, all bubbly, like I told you how the recruiters do. Hi, Clarissa. We're looking at your resume, and we really feel like this will be a very good fit for you for this company. That you're going to be fully remote. Only thing is that you have to go in the office for training for the first week. But they're very, very, very flexible. Do you mind if we send your resume to them? So I'm like, yeah, sure, go ahead. I'm still looking and stuff like that. And, they send my resume to the manager and the manager looks over my resume. And I'm telling you, like when something is sent from God, it just flows. And it be like a fast flow. Like you already know we be trying to move in a speedy way anyway. Like we want everything to be rushed. But it's like God's timing don't be when we want it. But then when his time come, it still flow swiftly. If that makes sense. So the woman reviewed my resume and the recruiter was calling me the same day to set up an interview for the next day. I interviewed with the manager the next day. She was very bright, very bubbly, very sweet. I had told them that this is the thing. I told them that I was working a part-time job. I lied a little bit. I didn't want to tell them it was a full-time job because with outsiders that you may not know is spiritual, they might not, or they don't know your work ethic and stuff like that. It's just too many, things that go to that where I don't feel like an employer would agree with a person working 2 full-time jobs because they're automatically going to think somebody going to get the short end of the stick. Let's just be real. So I said I was working part-time because it is realistic that a person can work a full-time and a part-time. It's people doing it every day, all night. So I told them I am working a part-time, but my part-time job is very flexible. And I know that my part-time job is flexible because my full-time job that I'm working in finance is very flexible. My manager does not micromanage me. She don't babysit me. She basically allows me to treat this like it's my own business, where as long as my work is done, she don't ask me no questions. She don't ask me why I'm working at 10 o'clock at night. She don't ask me why I'm working at 6 o'clock in the morning. Whatever time she see I'm on working and the work get done, nothing gets said. That's how easy this job is, my main job. So, but it is hybrid. I'm required to go in twice a week. That's Tuesdays and Fridays. So I taught, and then Friday, not even a full day because I only go in on Fridays to mail out invoices because I'm on the invoice committee. And I can go in and mail out invoices and come back and finish my day at home. Or I can stay in the office by myself and work because I'm the only one in my department that goes in on Fridays. Everybody be at home on Fridays. So the ball is in my court on Fridays. So we would technically say I'm only working at my main job in the office 1.5 days, if you want to be technical. So that's why I was able to tell the new employer that I was interviewing with that I work part-time because I told them I work Tuesdays and Fridays. And the rest of the days I'm at home because I ain't lie about that. So I get on the interview with the manager. Everything goes good. She's looking down at my resume and she's like, Clarissa, I really love your resume. She was like, you have the experience that we need. You have the work ethic that we need. She said the staffing agency and the recruiters really spoke highly of me on how many years I have been working for them. They've never had a complaint. They've got good feedback from other employers about my work ethic and how dedicated I am and, how much knowledge I have about the finance department and stuff like that. And she was like, I just feel like you're a good fit. And she said, well, I've never hired a temp before because this is a contract job. It's a contract job that's supposed to last 5 to 6 months. But in the interview, she says, what we need help with in the taxes area is basically going to be 5 to 6 months. But she was like, your resume is so extensive. How she said, she was like, your resume is filled with so much other things that even after you finish helping us with this main project for 6 months, I'm thinking I'm going to have something more long term for you. Are you open to anything more long term? Once this project that you're helping with is complete? And I'm like, yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah. I'm all in there. I'm like, yes, ma'am. And I'm looking for long, yes, of course. Why not? And so she was like, okay, great. She was like, well, let me get back with the recruiter, blah, blah, blah. And basically the woman had hired me on the spot. As soon as I got off the phone with her, the recruiter called me and was like, Clarissa, she wants you to start. And she was like, congratulations, you got the job. And so I got the job. We had to wait on my computer and screens and everything to get ordered and come in. And, all the fun stuff with getting me put in their system and stuff. That took a little longer than they expected because it took a while for the equipment to come in. Now, check this out. I'm about to close this up, but check this last part out. Look how ironic this happened. The training session that she wanted me to go through, even though that this position is a fully remote job and I can work from home every day, the manager wanted me to be able to come in for 1 week straight and train in the office with her and sit in the office alongside of her. Now, on my main job, I just told y'all I have to go in the office at least 1.5 days. Why the week that she wanted to start my training was the week that I was on vacation the entire week at my main job. On vacation. And that's all I kept telling my friends and my cousin. And we all was just like, all of us was just like, we knew that this was nothing but God. Like, we knew this was nothing but our creator, the higher power, the Messiah. This was nothing but God. God came through and told me, Clarissa, you on the right path. Your second job is coming. Everything flowed the way it needed to flow. He used the man. The job that the place where the man used me at wasn't for me, but he used him for the prophecy. Then the next week the job came. The woman hired me, being flexible. She didn't care that I had another job, even if it was part-time. Then the 1 week that she wanted me to come in and sit alongside her and train, I was on vacation from my other job, so I didn't even need to ask her to accommodate my 2 days. So by the time I got in the office with her that week to train, I felt comfortable enough, like midweek, probably about Wednesday. I felt comfortable enough because we had talked and we was talking personal, and you know how I get when you start talking personal with people. You catch a vibe from them and you can see what type of spirit they have and all that. So I kind of let her know. I was like, I told her about my 2 days because I had told them that in the interview, actually. But the week that she wanted me to come in for a week, she asked, do you need those 2 days off? Because she kind of really wants you to come in for a week straight. But if you need to be flexible for those 2 days, she'll work with you. And I was like, no, I can come in that whole week. Not telling them that I was on vacation actually that week from my main job. It just worked, guys. And that's why I'm telling you, when something is sent from the higher power, there are no mishaps. There are no mishaps. It works. It works. It flows. And that's all I can say. It works and it flows and it lasts. So with that being said, I'm sitting here right now at both of my screens. I got 2 laptops, 2 keyboards, 2 mouses. I'm only working off of 2 screens. I'm working off a laptop and a screen with my main job. I'm working off another laptop and another screen with the other job. I could be working off of 4 screens, but who finna put all that up on the table? So I'm working both jobs on the screens that I have with between the laptop and my 2 big screens. But it's working for me, guys. And I didn't want to come on and do the podcast and tell y'all this story time until I actually got in, got the job, made sure that the manager was copacetic with my schedule and was actually working it, and nothing kind of happened. Because when stuff just flow right, we still be nervous. And, I still want to make sure, like, okay, let me make sure nothing happened, before I go on and tell this story time and then something fall through and the job don't work out or whatever. But when I tell you, like, I don't, like, my new manager, she do not worry about me. Like, I get my projects done that she send me, in a timely manner. I'm sitting here working my main job. Like, sometime if I can't get to some stuff for my main job, I'll stay on till 7, 8 o'clock at night. When month end hit, and month end in finance gets really, really busy, I might work till 9, 10 o'clock on my main job. But I'm not putting a whole 20 some odd hours on my time. You know what I'm saying? I'm just making sure my work gets done. But in reality, that still might have been a 12, 13-hour day for me for my main job, if that makes sense. What I'm basically saying is I'm not taking no extra time just because I may be working till 10 on my main job, unless I'm really working that time and not doing my other job, if that makes sense. But either way, I do get stressed at month end with my main job because it's finance, and I do a lot of things. But this other job, the new job, is nothing but data entry. It's very, I don't have to think about it. I'm not messing with numbers. It's strictly administrative stuff, and it's very light compared to the billing and stuff that I do for my finance job. But but the other weeks, outside of 1 week a month, the other weeks, like this week, it's flowing. Like, I have my structure. It took me some time to get my structure and get my scheduling down. But I'm in 3 weeks now with the new job. And I know how to bounce back and forth. I know how to answer emails from both of them when they come through. Like, I'm actively working both of these jobs at one time. I may stop and take a break on one, but I'm hopping on the other one. I may take a lunch break on my main job and hop over to the new job and work that hour. Then hop back on my main job. Like, I'm doing it. Like, I'm literally doing this. I prayed for this. I spoke it. And right before I was finna get ready to write it in my journal, because I write and script things too. And we're going to talk about that on another episode with the steps of manifesting and scripting and writing and how to make some things happen. But I was just, before these interviews started coming in, I was just finna, because I kept on saying to myself, you got to write it, Clarissa. You got to write it, because I know that's a part of my steps. Because as soon as I have a thought, and as soon as God give me a download, then I hurry up and write it down so that I can have note of it. And I also have it wrote down as part of my manifestation process. And I hadn't got a chance to write this down yet. It was just embedded in my head and in my heart. And I ain't even get a chance to write it down before the interview started coming in. And it only took 3 weeks. I had an interview every week. And that third interview was the one for me. And now that's what I'm doing, y'all. I'm sorry to have held y'all for so long. I only wanted this podcast to be about 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes. But I needed to get every single detail out to you guys about how God has blessed me, tremendously blessed me in the finance area of my life. And I'm thankful. Like, every day I'm thankful. Every day I'm telling God I'm thankful. And every day I'm sitting here in awe, like watching. Like, sometimes I'm outside of my body just looking at myself on how I'm doing this, and how I'm, and my friends and my family is asking me, Clarissa, how the job's doing? How's it going? And how are you maintaining everything? And everybody is just so shocked to hear me say, oh, it's going good. Oh, I'm maintaining them. It's flowing. I done built my structure up. I'm maneuvering all right. Month end might be a little intense for me, and I get anxiety the night before month end because I know how busy I'm going to be with my main job. But I get up and I start my day about 5 in the morning, and I get my work done, y'all, for both jobs. And both of my managers are pleased with me. I'm getting great feedback from the new manager. My main manager at my main job, she already don't bother me, but the feedback I do get from her on certain things is good. And I'm blessed. And I just want y'all to know. And the reason why I want to share this story time with y'all is because I need y'all to not give up on whatever master plans that you have for yourself. If you know that you are awakened and you believe in a higher power, and you know that it's some things on your heart that you want to manifest for your life before you leave this earth, I am a living proof that it can and will happen if you continue to pray, you continue to build that strong relationship with God, and you continue to write the vision and make it plain and ask in detail and be pure in your heart about what you really want, and don't mind doing the work, that it will come to pass. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you come back and listen again. Thank you so much for being here. Let those lights shine bright, because we all are jewels in God's eyesight. Bye, jewels.